Welcome to the podcast that buffs your Hearthstone game. This is Velen's Chosen.
Not all who wander are lost.
What's up? Greetings, visionaries. Welcome to Velen's Chosen, a podcast geared to buff your Hearthstone game. We exist to help you stay competitive on the ladder, mainly within the realm of Standard. And we help you do that without necessarily breaking your bank. We give you some tips, gameplay discussion, some deck ideas, and even maybe touch on some arena skills to help you play a little bit better with your Hearthstone goals, regardless of card pools. I'm your host, NotRobMay, and joining me today, as always, is Mr. Andrew Brown.
Sup, man and women of the listeners and hosts.
I'm just going to let you keep digging that hole.
Every week, you're so delightfully awkward.
You gotta keep it fresh, right?
And we have the
charming
sanity expert herself, Evemartyn.
Hello, everyone.
How's it going, guys?
Well, my computer died finally after 10 years.
Man.
Yes.
Let's a moment of silence for
Mac.
the Mac.
I thought Macs were like eternal.
Well, the funny thing is that the picture isn't working, so something's gone wrong with maybe the video card, but the computer itself is fine. Like it still works and everything and runs all the programs and everything. It's just there's no picture. My screen is blank. It is black. So that's kind of discouraging.
Bad day.
But I'm happy it lasted 10 years. That's pretty impressive, honestly.
That is a monster.
Especially after everything I put it through.
You will work for me, computer. Listen here.
Yeah. I've done a lot of things on there. Rating for, 8 hours at a time. And
rating on a Mac is also hard, too.
Yeah.
From time to time. All right. So, guys, this week we're going to be discussing card crafting. We have really been pushing this off for good reason, I might add. Mainly because it's even internally, I wish you guys could hear some of our discussions in the pre-show. It's just like, no, we need to do the show like this. No, that doesn't work. Cards don't work like that. Or decks are always changing. Why can we do this now? It's like, well, we've only had it for a month. Like, we all have these ideas, and it's not that we're arguing. It's that we're like, we want to give you something that's organized, that's efficient and accurate, and it's really hard. And it's and there's so many cards in this game, you guys, that you could say as a given player, you can talk to, and they'll be like, you need to craft A, B, and C, and then you go talk to us, and it's like Andrew will say you need X, Y, and Z, and Eve will say you need M and an O, and it's like it doesn't work like that. So,
I think the most difficult part about it is that everyone processes it in different ways. So even though, our opinions might be similar, they're always going to be crafted differently because of what we're prioritizing in how we craft our card collections and stuff.
They're going to be crafted differently, huh?
Hey. Everyone plays different decks too, right? They have different play styles. There's different things they would prioritize over other things. And so I think it's good that we've got 3 different ways of looking at it. And then hopefully our listeners can find something that they agree with.
And if there's anything we've learned with podcasting after 40 episodes, guys, for episode 41 is disagreeing sparks good discussion. So let's jump into it. Also, before we get started, we're not just covering legendaries. I know that a lot of people do that. We're also going to try to touch on as many of the epic cards that we think are valuable for you guys to get as well. And we're going to be talking about those, like Eve was saying, in relation to your play style and your Hearthstone goals, not just like good cards to craft and why they're good. And then there's also a really cool report that Vicious Syndicate Gaming has been putting out. They're called these Reaper reports. They're similar to what the meta snapshot is that Tempest Storm does, but these are like hard and fast stats, and you as a player can contribute and help them out. Just go to the website, click their Reaper report, and there's like a little Tracobot thing. So if you play games on Tracobot, you can contribute some of your actual hard data with what you're seeing and cards you're playing, and they will integrate that into their data reports. But the specific article we're talking about today has to do with cards and the frequency of the cards that are coming. So I'm trying to it's kind of hard to like summarize this for you in the top of the show, but basically they're
maybe
telling
just point them there and tell them to go read it,
to go check it out. Yeah, go check it out. It tells we're going to be using this as our main springboard as to why we're recommending things in general. So yeah, let's jump in to the quick section on the news. We got some really quick stuff today. All right, Eve, it's your turn to take us through what happened with Tavern Brawl this week.
Card crash at the crossroads. So you pick a deck at the beginning, and then you pick a class, and they fill a deck for you. And then at the beginning of your game, you get to choose a second class, and they will kind of integrate the two different classes together. So the one that I had the most luck with was Paladin and Shaman together. And you might not get the second class that you want, that you're kind of going for, because they give you a choice of 3. It's like a discover mechanic at the beginning of your game. So you might kind of be going for a duo that you think would work very well, and then they don't give you the option. But I started with Shaman, and anytime I was able to pair it up with Paladin, it seemed to work really well for me. So that was my favorite matchup.
Andrew, what did you do in Tavern Brawl this week?
Well, as you guys might remember, I am always try to do Tavern Brawl with Rogue so that I can finish up leveling up that class, since it's my last one.
That's a good idea.
But with this one, it was like, okay, I got to combine 2 classes now, so things might get a little hairy. The one that made the most sense to me was Hunter and Druid, because they both have beast cards, and they've got, core cards that are beasts. So I chose Hunter. I did get Druid, so I chose it, and turn 3 my opponent conceded, and I had not played anything basically. So that was my experience in Tavern Brawl.
You didn't even get the Houndmaster dream, did you?
No, I thought I had a good strategy, and I don't even know if it works or not, but apparently it did.
That's all you have to do.
Just straight up intimidated them, and they gave up.
I guess so. I don't think I'd played any Druid cards yet, but maybe they thought I was going to go face, even though I don't know, but whatever.
My greetings.
The thing with the Brawl is that I find people kind of concede a lot easier, because there's not really there's
no pressure
loss to it. Yeah. They don't mind, like, halfway through a game, this is not looking that great for me, I'm going to try another deck, and just, like, quit right in the middle of it.
Yeah, of course.
There's no penalty, really.
Yeah, exactly.
But what did Rob do?
I played Warlock, and I wasn't quite sure what to do. I actually hit the button play thinking that I would be able to go construct a deck for some reason. I don't know. I was like weird afternoon, no coffee day. And, but yeah, I was like, okay, so I have to discover a second class. I don't get to copy what my opponent's class is. It's like I went into it in a mirror match where it's like Warlock versus Warlock. And I was like, oh, this is going to be lame. I'm just going to get Warlock cards. But they actually had the Discover thing. I was like, oh, this is cool. And I'm like, okay. So I could get Rogue, I could get Shaman, or I could get Druid. So I picked Druid. I was like, well, in theory, I should have more of a mid-range / flood deck that I can continue to draw cards with. And then maybe I'll luck out and get like Dank Whispers or Whispers of the Old Gods and just like buff my board. And you want to know what happened? Wild Growth on Warlock's pretty darn good.
Oh.
I had Wild Growth on the Warlock on turn 3. And then turn 5, I played like 3 or 4 minions in a row that are all real tiny. And I don't know how I was able to hold the board really well against this other Warlock, but I just did. And all at once, I top deck a Cenarius, and my board is full. And
buff everything.
Just buff everything +2/+2 and punch him in the nose, and that was it. That's all she wrote.
Wow. I think so Druid plus anything is good, so that you can get those innovates and wild growths. But
I've also heard some people saying that Mage is really good just to add, so you can get extra removal,
a lot of spells
or spell discounts or Antonitis, stuff like that.
That's good.
I think it was a really cool idea.
Interesting.
I think this is definitely one of their stronger tavern brawls for non-deck construction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. So props Blizzard. This is actually a good week.
For those people with a smaller card pool, it definitely made it easier for them to win their deck because it wasn't dependent on what cards they owned. And you can also have a chance to play a bunch of cards you might not own and may not
also,
ever have been
I
able
think
to
that this
use.
would be a good tavern brawl for them to consider making a mode in the future for, as a teaching tool for, like a casual teaching tool, maybe not like a competitive mode, but for new players, they're able to expose themselves to essentially or potentially 4 classes at one game, right? They're able to see 4 different class cards at a time and kind of like explore what's in Hearthstone very fast.
You don't think that might be confusing though, about like
Yeah.
which cards go with which class, and I've got this awesome combo, but wait, why can't I pull it off in ranked mode?
Blizzard tends to go on the side of simplicity versus too complex.
That's a good point.
I do like the idea though, because they want to experience all the different classes. So I don't know.
So
we'll see what
maybe
happens.
it would be more of a mode for intermediate and like existing players then to just do something that's fresh and different, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
I just thought that would
pretty
be
fun.
interesting. So
Yeah.
Andrew, what is going on with our card backs this month and next month?
Oh, they're pretty and stuff. Shadow Moon you guys have now, and it's like all dark and spooky and stuff. Is Zuldrak the budget Overwatch back, or is that next month?
That's the budget one. Budget Overwatch.
Okay. So it just looks kind of like
It just looks really similar.
Troll.
for this month. Okay.
Zuldrak was a troll. Was it a troll raid or just a troll 5-man?
It was a place in there was a entire zone in the northeastern section of Northrend called Zuldrak. And it's all frozen troll
They're pretty
owned, but it's a good card back. I'm really looking forward to this next month's, aka June's, but I didn't really care for Shadow Moon Valleys, but cosmetics
it's a little tame compared to other backs that we've had.
Right.
It's a little plain, maybe even, but yeah, more card backs.
Okay, we got some patch notes on a hotfix this week. We're not really even going to discuss it because it's just a bunch of glitch fixes, basically. So if you want to go check it out, there's a link in the show notes. Enjoy that.
but they're good. Yeah.
Was there anything on there that was bothering you, Andrew?
No, there's just like stuff that Disguise Toasted figured out. I can't remember what it was, but there was one thing on there that like he had shown in a video. Oh, Scaled Nightmare. That was it. So I guess that card works properly now. So that's cool,
it's always
but-
kind of neat when they respond to something like that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You know that they're listening and they're paying attention.
Okay. Video part 2. Jeez. Okay. So we left off on which section, guys?
We were going into how coins were cheap or something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is this a bigger discount than before or something?
No, it's not the bigger discount. The Amazon coins are always going to be at the discount for 16% off at $20, 18% off at $50, and 20% off at $100 is what they've always done. So $25 worth for $21, $50 worth for $41, or $100 for $80. That's always been what they've been doing lately. But the new change is that you get 10% of all of the coins you spend back if you use them in the app.
They've done that before, though. I don't know if they do it every week or all the time, but
right.
Every time I've used it, I've gotten those coins back. So okay.
Yep, so just something to be aware of if you're in the United States and you use Amazon coins. But let's get into our main topic for the show, shall we? I don't have a bumper for the main thing. We just usually just jump into it. So let's do it.
It's the main topic of the week. Dum-ba-bum.
I like it. It works.
I'm going to have Andrew record that. And then just like save that for...
It'll be one of the bumpers. Just capture it.
Oh my goodness.
Live
Okay, so...
bumpers. That's something podcasts don't do.
What's that?
You don't find live bumpers on other shows. I'm just saying.
Live bumpers, yeah.
We're special.
That's right.
All right, so what are the crafting legendaries that we want to discuss? I'm going to let Eve kick it off because she had a really particular way that she wanted to approach this. And then maybe she can introduce how she's approaching the crafting section.
Oh boy. I'm sorry. You guys froze for me for a second.
Okay, so
yeah.
Eve, overall, we were just going to have you go in your own approach and describe kind of like your reasoning for your approach and then the cards that you and decks that you recommend for crafting. Okay?
Okay, so what I wanted to do was to look at the 3 top decks that were like basically the top tier decks right now in the meta snapshot, and then tell our listeners what cards they needed that were legendary or epic in order to make those decks work. The top 3 tier that they have on the meta report right now is mid-range shaman, Zulok, and Tempo Warrior. So the cards that you need to make Tempo Warrior work are Varian Rin, Ragnaros Firelord, Grommash Hellscream, Malkarok, and Karen Bloodhoof. Those are your legendaries that they have in Tempo Warrior. You guys are going to be touching on the other 2 decks. Or, well, mid-range Shaman, the only epic it has in it is Doomhammer and Eternal Sentinel. So that one's actually quite a cheap meta deck to make, considering comparing to the other 2. And then you were going to cover Zulok, so I'll leave that one up to you.
Okay. So let's back up and have you describe like power levels of these cards, replaceability, priority.
I see Tempo Warrior right now personally as kind of like an up-and-coming newcomer, but I am not sure that it's going to stay. I think it's kind of flavor of the week. People are trying it and seeing how it's going to work, and I don't have any great hope that it will last for a long period of time, but Ragnaros is a really good card that is a classic card, so it's going to be around forever in Standard, so it's a good one to make. Grommash is a really great card for Warriors. Like, if you like playing Warriors, you're going to want to make Grommash eventually anyway. Yeah. Malkarok and Cairn, I think, don't fit into a lot of decks and even a lot of Warrior decks. So only if you're trying specifically to make either N'Zoth Warrior or Tempo Warrior would you consider crafting Malkarok and Cairn, in my opinion.
And Cairn used to be a standard in the Control Warrior lineup just because he's insane value. 8-10 stats for 6 mana is a little bit bananas, as we might say. So he's a pretty good card. I mean, N'Zoth has brought him back because if you can get not just an 8-10, but what is that, a 16-20 out of 6 mana, you basically got a broken game at that point. So that's why he's become more strong. So with N'Zoth, he's really strong, but even without him, he's a pretty standard legendary and a good one that can fit into pretty much any deck. So
that's true, and he does take up a lot of removal as well if somebody needs to get rid of him, either a silence or a hex or some sort of thing, and then that leaves you, with your other big heavy things that you're going to drop with less things to take them out after Cairn. So
yeah, the only drawbacks Cairn has currently is getting hexed and getting sapped. Those are the 2 things that make you very upset when you drop a Cairn on the board. So,
but then when they use it on Cairn, they're not going to be able to use it on something else big and heavy that you're dropping as well. You generally don't just run Cairn as like your only legendary in a deck. He goes along with a bunch of other big heavy things as well. So if they're using up all their removal on him, then you might be like, well, at least I've still got my Varian Rin, Ragnaros, Grommash, Malkarok.
Yeah. I'm more emphasizing it against if you're playing Cairn in a N'Zoth deck, for example, like him getting hexed is way worse than it would be if you're playing Tempo Warrior. Let me
basically,
make sure
if you're going to talk about Aggro Shaman, which I believe is going to be around for a long time, even though people really hate it and they really wish it would go away, I don't think it's going away anytime soon unless Blizzard decides to make a massive change in a couple cards. So Doomhammer is always going to be a really good card to make 2 of.
Especially 1. especially 1.
Yeah. And Eternal Sentinel.
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't nerf Doomhammer, and that's always the worst. But the good news is that if they do nerf it, you'll get your full dust back. So, because the one thing, like Face Shaman being around forever, we thought the same thing about Face Hunter, and that is not a thing anymore, really. So I don't know, and none of those cards, other than Knife Juggler, really got any kind of a nerf bat. So
yeah.
I'd be interested to see.
That's the thing. Like, the way they wanted it to be combated was the players figure out something. They figure out different decks to make to combat it instead of having to change the cards. And I think that's what they've done with Aggro Shaman. Like, it's still going to be around as a really aggressive deck, but as you get up higher and higher, I don't think it's as effective. I don't think that it does as well.
There are definitely certain walls on the ladder where people are teching against it and playing decks that are not going to let it flourish like it should.
Also, the flip side of Aggro Shaman that plays similarly would be the mid-range, Totem, Bloodlust, whatever you want to label it, Shaman. That list is the one that I've been running. Runs like a Primal Fusion, Bloodlust, Double Totem.
Does it have any more epics in it other than Doomhammer and Eternal Sentinel?
That's why I'm looping it into this discussion, is because it doesn't. It uses the same things with a few more rares and basic cards. So
if you're looking to buff your Shaman,
Doomhammers. I think it just runs 1.
Yeah, that's possible.
True. Yeah.
Eternal Sentinel, I would say, is a really good card to make. I sort of didn't think I needed it because of the Lava Shock. But having a body instead of just a spell that's gone after you get the effect is actually really good. And I like Eternal Sentinel better than the spell that unlocks your mana crystals. Yeah.
All right.
I think there was some kind of argument in the community about which one was better at the time when it first came out, or whether to run all of them and have.
I think it just depends on your game plan, really. Like, if you're playing more mid-range, I think the Sentinel might be better. But if you're playing aggro, maybe running one of both, like Lava Shock and one Sentinel, and then there's like 2 Lava Shocks is also really just better for ladder, and then one's better for tournaments, etc.
Yeah, so you can experiment to see which one works better against whatever ladder you're facing.
It's not a huge deal if you don't have the Sentinel, but it's also nice to have in your arsenal. Andrew, why don't you run through your decks and selections there?
Sure. We talked about Miracle Rogue last week, so I don't want to beat a dead horse or anything, but the legendaries you need if you want that are Zeril, Edwin, and Leroy. Leroy's probably the most important, and then you can go with the other ones if you want.
What about the 1/1? With spell damage and gives you a card?
Blood Mage Thalnos, yeah. You
Is
do
that in
want
that
that
deck?
also. Yeah, you do want that also for that. It didn't cross my mind. I had put it on a couple other decks, I think. So
it crossed my mind because I still don't have that legendary.
Yeah, that one's important. And then 2 prep, like we said, if you're gonna play Rogue at all, invest in 2 preps because those are always going to give you a lot of. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's that. The other one I was thinking about was Control Warrior. Control Warrior actually does better against Tempo Warrior. So it's weird to tech against Warrior with Warrior, but and Control Warrior has affectionately been called Wallet Warrior because really it's just throw every one of your legendaries into the deck and you're good to go. But I know we got a lot of listeners that probably have been playing for a while, have aggregated some legendaries. So since it's a pretty effective deck right now, I don't want it to go untalked about. The big thing is that for removal, you've got to get the right epics. So 2 Brawls and 2 Shield Slams are absolutely necessary. You could even go with 1 Brawl, but I would say Shield Slam is the one that you have to invest in.
Absolutely.
And the other high value card is Gorehowl. I mean, if you can get, 3 cards removed for that one, you're really in business. And with all the armor that you've been gaining that game, you should be able to make quick work of it. So those epics are really key for removal. But then for the legendaries, Grommash we already talked about. Sylvanas and Justicar are
Staples.
just kind of standards in there. Yeah, Justicar really has become
Oh my
a
gosh.
standard for Control Warrior and Control Priest. I don't think there are any other, really high play decks. You can make some fun decks with Mage and stuff with her.
My
but
stomach just drops when I'm playing against a warrior and they bring out the Justicar. It's just like, oh, I'm going to get so far behind now. I'm never going to catch up.
Yeah, so if you want to play those variants, you got to get Justicar. Rags, again, really good. Harrison is typically a good tech card. Ysera, man, the value you get off Ysera if she lasts for even a couple turns is nuts. Yeah. And Baron Geddon is another standard removal card that you don't see in a ton of other decks, but he is very much standard in Control Warrior, and just having an AoE that takes care of a lot of low health creatures is really, really strong. And can allow you it seems like turn 7 is actually kind of a swing turn in a lot of Control Warrior matchups. So if you've got that Baron, that can be the card that kind of clinches you the rest of the game. So that one's really important for Control Warrior. You don't see him in a lot of other classes, but if you want to play that one, then that's good.
It might be the legendary you're missing to take your warrior up to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Great comments. Yep.
And I threw some other ones on here because if you have, just unending dust, which not a lot of our players have, but Cairn we talked about already is really good. The one legendary that I think has surprised a lot of people from Whispers is Sogoth the Slitherer. I actually pulled a gold version of him and was like, I'm not going to play this. But the more, he's been jumping into ramp druids, and I even saw a Control Warrior list that runs him.
Can you remind me again what he does?
Yeah, he's a 9-cost, 5/9 with taunt, and he can't be targeted by spells or hero power. So the fact that your opponent has to trade into him is really strong. Zoo is the only deck that really can come up with an easy answer with Power Overwhelming or Abusive. But even then, they're wasting a lot of spells and stuff that they want to go face with on one minion. So he's really strong in Ramp Druid or Astral Communion Druid, because if Yasharaj pulls him out, that's free, but he can fit into Control Warrior really well too. And then Chilma is obviously really good. N'Zoth, I saw Fibonacci ran a N'Zoth Control Warrior that I'm going to start trying out.
It only runs like 3 Death Rattles?
Yeah, it's like Chilma, Sylvanas, and
Cairn.
I can't remember the last. Cairn, yep.
Cairn.
But even with those 3, if you get 1 Death Rattle minion off N'Zoth, that's still
valuable.
And if you get 2 or 3, that's just nuts. So, And then Rob, you threw Deathwing in here. Are you converting to the Evemartyn standard of
old school Fibonacci would be proud? We'll just say that.
Yes, that's
okay.
True.
Which Deathwing, the old one or the new one?
Yes. For all you Control Warrior fans out there, do what you want, but mainly the old Deathwing from Classic. He's just a final bomb card.
Yeah.
And
when they think that you have nothing else that you can do.
I just want to throw out there, if you want to play Cthulhu variants, so Cthulhu Warrior, Cthulhu Druid, Reno Lock, or Reno Cthulhu.
Priest.
I guess there's the budget mage that we talked about. Yeah, there's a priest variant too. You want to get Twin Emperor Veclor. That is a key card in that. So
I want to almost say that might be the star legendary of the Whispers of Old Gods.
I would just say he's the most. You have to be playing. Well, you don't have to. I guess you could do the No Evolve or the No Cthulhu Evolve.
No Cthulhu Evolve.
Shaman or whatever. Yeah, but you kind of have to play Cthulhu in the deck. But there's so many different Cthulhu decks that I think he's still worth crafting if you have any interest in trying that out. Which, if you have Cthulhu, I'm guessing you want to try. He's just so much value. Go for it. Never look back.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's move on to your picks, Rob.
All right, so my picks are a little bit more simple, and yes, each one of us picked a warrior variant, so you're welcome. I picked the Dragon Warrior that plays like very similar to Tempo Warrior, kind of mixed with Smork Warrior or Aggro Warrior. In this deck, you generate a lot of speed by forcing your opponent to trade with the Fairy Dragons or using an early like Ravaging Ghoul combo and Frothing Berserker to bait out removal, and then as you transition to the mid game, you drop or the end game, you have Malkarok into Ragnaros into Grommash Hellscream, and those are your 3 legendaries of the deck. And some lists are subbing out one of their 5 drops for Harrison as well. So if you want to play Dragon Warrior, it's right now kind of top of the meta as far as who's playing it that's thinking it's good. You may not see it as commonly in the lower ranks or even up to rank 5, but I have a lot of pros saying that this is their favorite deck to play right now, and it beats a lot of decks. In the deck, it's called Dragon Warrior for a reason, because you have the it has actually 2 Draconid Crushers in it, which is the 6 mana 6/6 that if your opponent is at 15 or less health, it becomes a 9/9. And then it also
becomes
runs
an I kill you card.
Yeah, it becomes you're dead.
Yeah.
Oh,
you thought you were coming back? No.
It also runs Twilight Guardians. It runs Fairy Dragons, and then it runs man, what was the other legend? Well, maybe it was an Nefarian. I don't know. Go look it up on Hearthstone Top Decks. But the Twilight Guardian is the staple for playing dragons at all. And because none of us talked about dragon deck archetypes, if you want dragons and you need cards, Twilight Guardian is your staple must-have.
Mm-hmm.
Moving along, I have Zoo, Warlock, and the only legendaries that you're going to need to look at would be Leroy Jenkins and Gormok. And I would even say that Gormok is even lower on the tier list as far as cards that you need, because it can be replaced by a basic card, aka Dark Iron Dwarf. The other card that you want to pay attention to would be Sea Giant. 1 or 2 epic cards. You can use them sparingly, or you can use them really aggressively. In Zoo, it's always going to be a deck that people try to make work, because Warlock is always able to flood the board and refill their hand. So Zoo is an archetype that it would probably be around through the ages, just from the nature of how Warlock operates. And then last,
I feel like Leroy's getting a comeback.
Oh yeah. And what's the card that we talked about in the nerfs that makes Leroy even better? You guys remember?
Scaled Nightmare. Oh wait, what?
Not this episode. I mean, like cards when they got nerfed in Standard. The only card that lost charge.
Oh, Arcane Golem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh right, because people were using that instead of Leroy, and now that we don't have
Because you can
Arcane
run 2
Golem
of
anymore, it's like, there you go, Leroy, right? And it's awesome in Zoo because you can power overwhelming, Leroy, death.
Yeah, most people weren't even running Leroy because, you know, Arcane Golem is cheaper. You can get more buffs on him, and then you can get it out sooner. So,
by the way, as a side note,
nice.
I heard a streamer talking about this interesting combo. If you can get Leroy, double power overwhelming, and it still doesn't kill them, you can faceless Shambler that and
word.
copy, like, get a 12/6 or a 12 or yeah, something like that. 12/6 with taunt for
so
4
6/2
mana
plus 8/8, right?
So 14/10 taunt.
That's stupid. That's so
it's
stupid.
almost like a void. What was that? Void Terror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just interesting. I thought. It's probably not.
How much mana would that be? How much is the Faceless Shambler?
I think it's 4, but yeah.
Because 2 power overwhelmings.
Yeah, you just need to get 2 of the 3 cards, or 2 of the 4 cards discounted by Emperor in Reno.
Yeah.
So pretty.
But that is a really interesting idea, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And the last archetype is more closely organized around Paladin. It's called the N'Zoth Pally, but I just looped it all under N'Zoth decks in general because N'Zoth is good in, like Andrew said, in some control warriors. It's good in Priest. It's good in Pally. It's amazing in Wild in any deck. The N'Zoth decks obviously have one card that is legendary that you're going to need, which is surprise N'Zoth. You need to have him in order to play those decks. And then the powerful legendaries that you're going to be looking for is Cairn Bloodhoof, Sylvanas Windrunner, and if you're playing Paladin, you need the Tyrion. And some decks are running Chilma.
And
I saw
2 Ragnaroses, Ragnaros the Fire Lord and Ragnaros Light Lord.
Yep, those would be if you're specifically looking to play a control Paladin. Those are staple cards.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. Yeah. The old gods are actually pretty simple to rank. That you want N'Zoth first. If you want some crazy fun and an effective card, Yogg-Saron, and then Yasharaj really doesn't have a place outside of Ramp Druid, so don't bother unless if you pulled him from a deck, then try it out because I think he's fun. Communion. But or Astral Communion, but N'Zoth is easily the one that you want to craft out of all the old gods if you've got old gods hype on your brain.
I've tried N'Zoth Paladin a couple times because I got steamrolled by them and was like, okay, I have to check out this deck. You really need the Forbidden Healings, and you need 2 of them, and those are epic cards. If you don't have them, it's one of the best cards Paladin really got. Necessary because it's such a slow deck. If you don't have some kind of super healing towards the end of the game, you could just get rolled over by something like Aggro Shaman or Zoo. So Forbidden Healing is really necessary, and 2 Doomsayers. Yep. Which is also
those are other epic cards. And then some earlier forms of N'Zoth decks, not just Paladin, are also looking for the Twilight Summoner, which is the old gods 4 mana 1/1 Death Rattle, summon a 5/5 Shadow Beast or whatever.
Right.
I don't think it's a Shadow Beast. That's Possessed Villagers thing, but it's like a Twilight Nightmare or something.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact name of it, but that's definitely something to drop down when somebody puts down a Doomsayer.
Okay, well, I think that's most of the discussion. Do you guys have any other things that come to mind for cards to look to craft?
I just want to remind everyone that we offer card collection coaching. So if you're hearing all this and it still is, dependent on your collection, which it always is, and you're really not sure where to go, just reach out to us, send us an email, or contact us through our info at the end of the show, tweet us, whatever, and we'd love to jump in and help you think through what's best for you because, we tried to make it as applicable to everyone as we could, but it's still going to be so dependent on how you want to play, what you want to play, and what you already have. So, and how much freedom you have to spend money in the game, because obviously if you can spend unending money, you can have all of the cards, and Nat the Dark Fisher will just sit in your collection forever. But
he will still be good in aggro decks.
I don't know why I'm giving him. He's more applicable than Boogie Monster, so I can,
That's very true. All right.
Something Rob was saying before we started the show is that a lot of the classic cards that are going to be here forever in Standard are really good things to look at first. And a lot of the class legendaries, there's a couple that aren't that great, but most of the class legendaries are really good. So if you have a favorite class that you like to play a lot, you'd probably want to look at their class legendary first.
You'll be really safe
except
looking
for Priest.
That cards.
Not Priest and not Hunter.
Yeah.
And not Shaman, I think.
Alakir's still going. I'm calling that Alakir is still sleeping, and he's going to come out of the cave like a hibernated angry mama bear one of these days. But he is a good card, regardless.
Definitely. Mage's class legendary is really good. Paladin's class legendary is really good.
Warrior.
Rogue.
Warrior. Rogue.
Jiraxxus for Warlock.
Yeah.
You're not really seeing Jiraxxus right now, though.
Yeah, you
what are you seeing Jiraxxus in?
Reno.
For Reno Lock, you always want it as a healing option. and a late game, because he'll win the fatigue for you if you play him right.
And if you want to play retro, like old school, you can go handlock.
Right.
All right, guys, I think that's the main topic for the show. Thanks for listening. We're going to take this brief section to thank and talk about our Patreon before we get to our emails. So I'll turn that over to Eve.
All right. So thank you extra much to our 9 Patreon supporters: Jamie S., Kelvin, Crovon B., Ricardo C., John H., Pratap N., Gabriel Z., Garrett S., Jeffrey W. If you listen to the show regularly and find that you get a lot of value out of it, please consider becoming a Patreon supporter. If it's not something that you can do, we completely understand. We're speaking to budget players a lot of the time.
I can't comprehend. I have just money spilling out of my ears, and I'm just trying to find places to put it. So I don't get it, but I guess if you guys can relate, then that's fine.
Yeah, I had to chop down the money tree last week.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But another way that you can help us out if you can't throw us a couple dollars is to give us 5-star reviews. That's a huge way to promote the show and to help us become more visible and get more listeners. And if you're looking at the video, you can see Rob's awesome shirt. That's another way to support us. Does it not look amazing? I want one of those so bad.
And they delivered to EU.
Shirts look great.
Yeah, the shirts delivered to EU because we went through Spreadshirt. So our first 2 shirts got shipped to EU, and they came really fast from what a listener has sent me on Discord and said that he loves them and they fit great.
Yeah,
nice.
I haven't got mine yet, but I'm filled with jealousy when I'm looking through the video at you, Rob. I just want one right now. It looks great.
I'm just going to order a onesie for my upcoming baby. And
that would be amazing.
And then he or she will be able to tell the world about the amazingness.
I'll get on making
like
those.
Promoting Valen's Chosen with your newborn?
Yeah. Well, because everyone wants to see baby, right? They don't necessarily... Right. I don't even
They
know
look at babies more than they look at people. So
it's true.
Many people, as it were. But yeah,
check it out. Lots of ways to support the show.
Just a reminder for that Patreon, guys. Like we said, Eve's computer just completely bit the dust, and I had to upgrade to this microphone before I left so that I can get Andrew a microphone upgrade. And we're doing this out of pocket, so we're not doing this to submit or to support our regular income. We're doing this because we love doing it. Okay, so that's more of a tipping service to just say thanks back to us that.
Even if it's $1.
Yeah,
you know?
even it's $1.
$1?
It's like a tip. It will always be free, and we love what we do. And I hope you love listening as much as we love talking, because we're talkers. Talk.
We love
Speaking of talking, we got some emails.
All right, let's do it.
Right.
You require my assistance?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe just one, or how are we looking on time?
I think we're pretty close to an hour right now with all the technical stuff. I'm kind of guesstimating, but.
Okay, so I'll read the email that we have from Daniel. Is it Danielle or Daniel?
Daniel?
Daniel.
Okay. Hey, I've recently, in the past month, discovered Valen's Chosen and I've really been enjoying it. We're glad you're enjoying it. I've been playing Hearthstone for a little over 2 months. And I'm free to play, and so really appreciate the budget-friendly approach, especially as it relates to the current meta. I think it's really interesting how Eve mentioned she got her husband to start playing and was surprised at how difficult it can be with so few cards. I'd love to hear how that's going. Slowly.
I can imagine.
Like, I feel sometimes like I have a small card pool compared to other people because I can't just instantly make whatever new deck is out there, especially Rogue. But then I go to my husband's collection, I'm just like, wow, it's difficult. Like I've forgotten how it was. Like I used to be super happy if I hit rank 13. That was like, oh my gosh, I'm so awesome. I hit rank 13. And now I'm like mad at myself if I don't hit rank 5.
Eve, you are awesome.
Yeah. Things change. Things change a lot. I had a question though. I'm just about to get the final wing of League of Explorers, but still have a very weak collection. I'd love to get Blackrock Mountain, Dragon Priest. Hype. But I'm worried that since it's going away early next year, I'm only interested in standard considering the tiny collection I have. It might not be worth it, and I should focus on packs, arena, thoughts. Again, love the show. Okay, I would love to support you in your Dragon Priest dreams because I love Dragon Priest and everyone knows it. But if your goals are to be very competitive on the ladder, it may not be where you want to go. If you just want to have fun and you like Dragon Priest and you want to play it, then yes, absolutely go for it. I support that because having fun is the most important part of Hearthstone. But if you really want to be competitive and climb as high as you can, I would have to regretfully advise against it.
I'm curious as to what
It's
Andrew
hit or
thinks
miss.
about this. Because I haven't really considered this at all.
If I understand it correctly, he's trying to figure out what to prioritize here, right? So either the
Yes.
final wing of LOE or anything in Blackrock Mountain. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
it sounds like he doesn't have BlackRock.
Like the
Okay,
cards
so
that would allow him to play Dragon Priest, the
So
essential dragons
yeah.
that you need from there and stuff. Yeah.
So I totally get if he's trying to figure out, okay, now that we know that expansions and adventures are only going to last for 2 years at a time, do I invest in the more recent one or in Blackrock Mountain? Now with both of those, they're both going to cycle out at the same time, actually. So because they were both included in last year.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll both be cycled out after this year. So I guess May of next year. So you still got about a year's worth of play out of
mileage.
either of them. I'm trying to look at what's in that final wing of LOE. I know Rafam.
Elise. You get Rafam and Elise. I think Devil's Sword.
Elise is
statue.
pretty good.
Raven Idol.
Ooh, Raven
looks
Idol's
like-
really good.
I think the main card
Cursed
you're
Blade.
getting is
Don't miss out on Cursed Blade, bro.
Oh my gosh. The only card you don't want to get out of Malkorok.
It'll get you some free dust though.
No, museum curator is good for priest, but it looks like there's not a lot of. Really, it's just Raven Idol and Museum Curator that are the playable cards out of that. And Elise, yes,
Yeah.
Elise is really good. So I would say that, man. I mean, getting Emperor Thorson out of the very first wing of BRM is huge. Grim Patron unlocks a whole, archetype. Imp Gang Boss is so important for Zoo. You got just so many good cards. So I would say go ahead and go for Blackrock Mountain. I do think that you need to go for the entire set. Thorson, it's nice that they give you him at the very beginning because he can be used in a lot of different decks. But if you're going to go in, you really want to, strategize or prioritize your coins or, cash money, whatever you're going to go for. And I would say do Blackrock Mountain.
Now that you're mentioning all of these cards and my memory's coming back, Imp Gang Boss is essential for Zoo. That's such a clutch card.
They kind of do
And a
give
couple
you
of the other ones that
something
you mentioned
clutch
as
for every
well,
class,
so-
don't they?
Yeah.
So
I
would
forgot
say
because
it's worth it.
we always said that Blackrock Mountain had the least impact of any of the
Yes
different
and no.
adventures.
Yes and no. I think it got overshadowed by how many cards were currently already there. You know what I mean? Like with Nax and stuff. But now that Nax is out, BlackRock's very strong.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, that's
And
true.
It's interesting that the very final wing of League of Explorers seems to be the least applicable. I didn't get a chance to look through all the other ones, but it seems like because League of Explorers was more effective on the on playable cards and affecting the meta and stuff, but it's not necessarily those cards in the very last one. So yeah, go for Blackrock Mountain. Dragons are fun. After this one cycles out, we probably, unless we see another dragon heavy meta, that play type is probably going to cycle out kind of like Mechs did after Goblins versus Gnomes left. So
Play it
fun
while
with
you
it
got
while
it.
they're- Yeah, yeah, and a year is still plenty of time, I think, to have fun and all that with it.
I'll just add one more.
That's true too. That is months and months and months of playtime. So
That's true.
Don't discount that.
What you got,
And
Rob?
you can get a sweet card back out of the deal if you can knock down that heroic indefinitely. Like that's something that you can go back and do since you've bought the adventure. Same thing if you've currently got
mean Nefarian?
What's that?
Nefarian's card back?
Yeah. Yep.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. That one is a very sweet looking card back.
Yep.
So I changed my mind. I agree with Andrew.
I think for me, BlackRock and Hearthstone only being around for 3 years now. Like a year is an actually really long time for a Hearthstone to be around. Like if you think about it, we got Old Gods. We have 2 more adventures coming and another expansion this year. So
1 adventure and 1 expansion.
Yeah. And then that just sounds crazy to me. Like that's a lot of stuff coming. And it's over the course of the year. Like we're still reeling. And we don't know what impacts that we're going to get with BlackRock with new cards. So I would say get your next paycheck and drop $20. Like that's probably the most efficient way of doing it because of how they set up pricing structure for adventures. It just makes sense financially. If you can dump money in the game, it goes there before you get packs. Like it just does. Also, the other decks that BlackRock really helps with besides dragon decks is actually every warlock archetype. Imp Gang Boss is used in every warlock deck. Demon Wrath is used in Reno. Man, what's the other card that they got?
Flamewaker.
Flamewaker is for mages. Like there's just something that's staple for every deck.
Flamewaker's so good.
Yeah. So go check it out. If you can reach out to us again and personally, like on Twitter, and maybe like get what you should do day to day, getting your gold, etc. We did a pretty good job on this email. If we want to cover maybe one more, because we have a lot.
Okay.
We'll go through one more real quick.
Okay.
Right. So from Bob from Virginia. Excuse me. Hey, Chosen, love the podcast. I've had more fun playing Eve's Dragon Priest deck than I've had in Hearthstone in a long time. Me too. My question for you, is there a card or combination of cards that just feels great to play? There are a couple of cards that bring an immense amount of satisfaction for me, no matter how many times I've played them. My favorite is Quartermaster, when you've managed to get 3 recruits on the board. Sort of a, see, you shouldn't have left those out there thing. My other one was Light Bomb, something about bringing an aggressive push to a screeching halt that just never got old. Keep up the great guys. You've quickly become my Hearthstone podcast of choice.
Yeah, and thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob. That's a great email.
Good combos you guys can think of that really good when you pull them off?
Since I started playing a lot of mid-range Hunter, getting a Houndmaster off on an Infested Wolf feels really nice. Or even when Infested Wolf dies and you Houndmaster one of the spiders that come off him. I mean, it's like, I had a 3-3, and now I've got a 3-3 again, so you just cannot get rid of all my beasts.
It's like the deal with it meme. It's like,
well, and actually very similar to what he's saying with those with the Quartermaster combo. When you have 2 or 3 minions on board with Hunter now, and your opponent doesn't go for them, and then you can Call of the Wild the next turn, all of those minions get +1 attack, and you've got Huffer, and they might be dead.
Ouch.
You know, I haven't played as much Hunter this week, but I do recall those feeling quite good. And
yes, quite.
Yes.
Call of the Wild. That is such a good card.
What do you guys think? Anything comes to mind for you?
I just have 2. First one's very simple. Play Shaman. That's my combo.
Play Shaman. Nice.
You just get a. Honestly,
You're just so
it's
happy
mainly,
you can actually play a great Shaman.
Yeah. Yeah. Mainly, it's just Bloodlust. Bloodlust on a board of totems feels amazing. And then the other combo is double PO Leroy. It never gets old. Leroy!
At least I got chicken.
Yep.
Well, for mine, I'm going to share my crazy game story of the week, which I forgot until right now.
Nice.
I was playing Dragon Priest and
course.
was unlucky enough to have all of my huge dragons in my mulligan. Like, got rid of them, and then they came back.
Oh my
that thing
gosh.
that you do where you tap them all, and then they just come right back into your hand. So I had Deathwing Dragon Lord. I had, like, Nefarian. I had, like, one more. I can't remember which it was. So 3 huge dragons, and I'm like, great, I'm not going to be able to play for the first like 5 turns. And then I got that 0 mana, what is it? Forbidden Shaping? I can never remember the name of it.
That's right.
Yeah, you play it and then it creates a creature of whatever mana cost you cast it at. And I get a Larmobot.
That's right.
And everyone remembers what a Larmobot does, right?
0/3.
So the hunter I
Something from
was
your hand
playing
into play.
against completely ignores it. I don't know why, but he did not even attempt to take it out and actually used a quick shot on my Northshire Cleric, which had 3 health, and the Alarmabot has 3 health, so he made a conscious decision to get rid of my Northshire Cleric instead of getting rid of the Alarmabot. And lo and behold, on turn 4, Dragon Lord.
Death
And I have all
And
these
then
other...
he died.
Yes, I have all my other huge dragons in my hands, so that was pretty much
Can
game.
you say on
Ridiculous.
3 punished?
Do not ignore the Alarmabots, people. This
They are
is
vicious.
my warning to you.
That
Vicious
was the one time
creatures.
that you ever run into one on the ladder. You will have the answer. Kill it.
Especially when you're going up against a dragon priest. Because chances are he has something huge in his hand you do not want to come out on turn 4.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So that felt
Thanks
really
for your
good.
emails,
That was
guys. I
my
really
story.
appreciate it. We'll get to those of you who emailed the show in the last week. We'll try to get those on the next show. Finally getting to a place where we get like a huge surge of emails and then like a drought. So we're going to try to spread them out from now on. And thanks for tuning in this week, especially to our iTunes reviews. We got one more review this week.
Oh, that's right. From Tatted Geek in the USA.
Nice game.
Very cool.
Oh, like Tattooed Geek?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Like
I think that's
tatted-
what he's
tatted.
going for. Yeah. I want to know what his tattoos are. Do you have any Hearthstone tattoos? Because that'd be insane.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Great show. Been listening since the beginning. Always look forward to the next one. Short and sweet. Thank you very much.
You're the man.
Means a lot. It helps us a lot.
Yep.
We do appreciate those reviews.
So if you
All right.
want to get involved with the show, you can hang out with us in Discord. Link is on our website. Chat with us on Twitter. Our handles are at the end of the show. Play Hearthstone with us or talk to us about collection coaching and stuff. You can also join the Hearthstone Facebook group, which is the Inn, and lots of crazy people. I actually vented on there and caused quite a commotion. And yeah, so you can go on there and look.
About what?
Man,
What were you venting about?
I was venting about people who hit the wow emote when they just absolutely steamroll all over you. It just feels bad, man. And so I was trying as best as I can and maturely as I could to say, hey, would love it if people considered a different option. And people were mad that I said that. So now all the funny people were the ones who actually did the wow emotes on there. But you gotta go check it
Astounding.
out. Yeah, that I laughed at. And since then, there were actually a few people who were very sober-minded and said, "Hey, just squelch people." I was like, "Oh, that's actually." I never wanted to do that, but I started doing it, and man,
Peace
my
of
rage
mind.
is gone. So I'm just gonna squelch like crazy from here on out. So, but you
All
can
right.
find the
My
link to that
question
on
for
our
you
website, too.
is sorry better or worse than WoW?
It's the same.
I think it's better. Because sorry is at least like, hey man, I'm sorry this game didn't turn out. I think so.
Especially
You
if
can
you're
at
playing
least
back
take
me.
it that way, whether or not they mean it that way. You can still kind of just internalize it that way.
The WoW is like, I can't believe I beat you that bad. Wow, you must be awful. That's how I interpret it. So, and I can't come up with a mature way that they're doing that. Anyway, the link to the Inn and everything is on our website, which is velenschosen.com.
Our links to the Twitter is just Velen's Podcast, nothing fancy. And then Facebook is Velen's Chosen Podcast. You can email us at velenschosenpodcast@gmail.com if you want to add your words of wisdom to the docket and questions. You can check us out on Patreon. Same thing, just Velen's Chosen. And hang out with us in Discord. We got a lot of people hanging out both for Discord in Hearthstone as well as Heroes of the Storm and Overwatch. So it's a party. Come hang out. Special thanks to Watchman HS for being epic with both of our new music tracks. And within the next couple weeks, I believe in the next 2 weeks to be specific, we should have new bumpers. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough on the show. Where can we people at home find you, Andrew?
You can find me in Oklahoma. If you see me walking around, you can wave at me. You can say, "Hey, I know that guy."
Oh dear.
Oh, you meant online. That's. Yeah.
Now you
on
tell everybody
Twitter.
where you live.
Yeah, I tried to. Yeah.
I get punished.
On Twitter at Andrew is Living. You can find me on YouTube if you search for BinacaFreak for some arena tips. Find me on BattleNet. Andrew is Live, number 1973.
And Eve, you can find her
On Twitter at Finnovar, FINNOVARR. On Twitch as Evemartyn. Send me a message and I'll send you my battle tag. And also PlayStation Network as Evemartyn, playing Overwatch and Destiny.
Very cool. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram with the same tag at NotRob. You can find my Facebook design portfolio over at NotRobMedia. And you can find my really cool Overwatch podcast that's been doing very well lately called the Omnic Lab. We talk about strategy and basics. So very cool stuff there. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us in Exodar.
See ya.
Bye.
I foresaw this. Did I miss it?
That Velen is such a big know-it-all.